Hi everyone, I'm Anna and I'm a children's librarian at the East Hampton Library, and today I'm here to do a winter solstice art project with you. So we are going to do a sun and moon project. The winter solstice is coming up, and for this project you will need a paper plate, which I hope everybody has at home. So I have here some paper plates. This is a sample of the one I did. I'll do one for you today. Paper plates, and then you will need a pencil to sketch the face on it, and once the face is sketched on it, then you'll need a Sharpie or other marker to outline the face very darkly. Then I have watercolors that I will use. I have a nice palette of colors here, mostly the blues and yellows, as you can tell is what we'll be using. In addition to the watercolors, I have a nice big fat watercolor brush and a little bit of water in my jar to clean my brush. Now, if you don't want to use watercolors, the other option with this is to use paint. I just pick watercolors because they dry pretty quickly and I like to work with them. I also like to blend, so the watercolors work well along here where you're blending the night sky along with the day sky, so you can blend the colors a little bit easier with that. Since we'll be changing colors, you'll need some napkins to kind of clean off your paintbrush. And then last but not least is something to cover your table with. I have a nice paper tablecloth. At home you can just use another big piece of paper, construction paper or something, even a brown paper bag, to set on your table and then to put your paper plate on that to color with. Okay, so we are going to start with the drawing here. And the first thing you want to do, that I found the easiest, is to start with a line right across the middle that is going to serve as the nose. And once you've done that line, then you want to curve up all the way to the edge, and that is going to be the part of the sun. And then we're going to do the opposite side of the nose, and we are going to curve it down for the bottom part of the sun. So at this point, I don't know if you can see that a little bit there since it is a light sketch. So we've got the outline of the face started, and then the next step is going to be putting eyes on either side, and you can draw your eyes any way you want. I'm just doing little half circles and adding some eyelashes. And then the final step to the pencil sketch is a nice big fat smile with a little line on each side. So there we have our face sketched out. So because we want this to show up through our paint, we are now going to go through the same steps we just did, outlining the nose and then the curve to the top of the face. And when you hit those ridges on your paper plate, you may have to fill them in just a little bit more. And then curving down, nice and steady. And now I am going to retrace my eyes, add some eyelashes, nice big eyes, and then finally I am going to do the mouth. Now you can see I'm a little bit shaky, so you don't always get it drawn as evenly as you would like. My mouth didn't quite go on the line, but that's okay. Okay, so now that we've got the face drawn on there and outlined, we are going to start with the painting. And the first thing, oh wait, I missed a step. Let me back up. Look at this one a little more carefully. You guys can probably tell me what I missed. On the sun side, over here, we want to make sure we get the rays on the outside. So I'm going to draw those in real quickly. And to do that, I just basically go over two ridges at a time on the paper plate, two up and two down, all the way across. And I'll start on this side and do the same thing. And then as I get closer, just want to take a good look here and make sure I still have enough space to do 2 and 2, and I do. So one more last look at it there before I start doing the painting. All right, so now that we've got it on drawn, the first part of the paint I want to do is yellow. Typically when I'm using watercolors, I do generally start with the lightest color and work my way to the darker color. And a lot of that's the water choices too, because you're using so much water, and as you change colors, you don't want your darker colored water mixing in with your lighter colored palette. So I find it best to start with the lighter color. So I'm just going to start toward the center here, center of my face, and work, move down a little bit so you can see it, work toward the outer edge where my rays are. And as you can see, I'm just painting right over the Sharpie lines that we drew. Go down a little bit. As much color as I can on here, and just anytime we use watercolor, keep in mind that the less water you use, kind of the darker the color shows up. But if you're looking at this very closely, you can also see that my watercolor is running and dripping a little bit. So what I'm going to do at this point is take one of my paper towels and lay on top of it and just press down. Now this is going to not only lift up the water and the drip, it's going to lift up a lot of the paint too. So you can decide if you want to add more paint. But the other thing it does is leave it dry. So it's very light at this point. So I'm going to move on to kind of a yellow orange and get that all good and wet. And I'm going to go back over what I just colored, only this time I'm not going to do it in every single spot. I'm just going to kind of randomly do it where things look a little bit lighter. We know that the sun is a ball of fire, and a ball of fire is definitely not one color. It's a lot of different colors. And sometimes we make our suns yellow, and sometimes we make our suns orange. So this one is going to have a little bit of both. And then I'm going to dab it one more time and hope it doesn't pick up all of my orange. I hope it leaves some of it behind. But it's still kind of a nice light pastel. Okay, so the next step is to work on I keep getting too close to the camera. We are going to work on the sky, just on the outside of the sun. And for that, I'm going to actually start with my lightest blue here. Get enough water in there. It's a very, very light blue. So as you can see in the last one I did, this one here, the colors were a lot darker. This is my sample I made before I started actually doing the project with you guys, and I used a different paint palette. So we're gonna finish this out in the light blue, and then we're gonna mix a little bit of dark blue over it. The palette I'm using right now, what I'm finding is that the pigment in the paint is just not quite as powerful as the pigment in the last one, which you guys will find that with different types of watercolors you use. Your more expensive brands, your more artistic brands are going to have a lot more pigment in them, so you do get a little more color. I also wanted to point out here, as you can see, I'm kind of going outside the lines a little bit, so even though my black lines are there to outline my face, watercolors are meant to be used for blending. So if you look very close at that, you can see that's kind of blended in there. Now for the moon side, I did not do an outline on it. So what I'm going to do is just actually leave the moon white. You can choose to color the moon if you want. You can color it silver. You can leave it white. You can make your sun a little more orange and make the moon yellow. This is your project. You can do it any colors you want. In my case, I'm going to leave it white. And then I am going to take the darkest blue I have here, and I am going to color paint just on the edges, kind of the rounded part here, and work my way around the paper plate right where those ridges start. So I'm using a darker paint than what I did on the other side, because other than obviously knowing the difference between the sun and the moon, the different times of day that the sun and the moon shine, the sky is different colors, and usually it's darker at night. So for those of you who don't know, with the winter solstice coming up, that is our shortest day of the year. I believe it is on December 21st. And there will be a point that day where you can most likely see both the sun and the moon. So from that point on, our days will start getting longer, and there will be more time with the sun actually showing in the sky than the moon. But on that day, we will probably see more of the moon. Okay, so I'm going to dab a little bit and pick up some of that color. So here's where we are. And you can see some white spaces over there. So I'm going to add a little bit of purple to it, because I think our night sky looks really pretty and sometimes has some deep purple colors in it. So just on some of my areas where it's a little bit lighter, some over there, and areas where it looks like it'll spread pretty good. Maybe some over here. And then I'm going to dab it one more time. You guys may be a lot faster at this than I am. But there is my sun and moon winter solstice project. So have fun with that, and as always, once this video is posted, I would love to see the projects you guys make. You can post them in the comments so I can get a chance to look at them. Have fun, and I will see you next time.